Hi and welcome to WarHQ. My name is Lucius. Today I'm joined by Kaisel, as per usual. How you doing, dude?
hmm Good, good.
hmm hmm Doing all right on this wet day.
Yeah.
Um, we've got an interesting topic today. It's going to be a series of a couple of things we do. And what we're going to go through today is the easiest kill teams to get into. So, like, say you're a new player, you're looking at buying a kill team. Maybe you're on a budget. That's sort of what we're looking at today. Like, what you could achieve. In other videos that we're going to do, it'll pretty much be, we'll do the opposite, obviously, like what's the most expensive one, and we'll go into best ones for new players, etc. But just today, this one is the easiest one to just get into. Probably we're looking into things like the lowest model count, the cheapest, um, the most competitive as well. When I designed it, like, I was thinking about these, I wasn't just going, oh, we could just have that as a fun list. This is more to be sub-competitive. Let's just say sub-competitive, as good as you can be on a budget.
Mm.
So you might be thinking, I want to start Kill Team. This might be a good place to start. Let's have a look at some of these. So I'll just talk with them, and Kyson and I will just discuss them, and we'll go through it as you see, and we'll show it down the bottom as well, like what we're actually talking about, so you know what you're looking for if you want to purchase those things.
Yep.
Do you have any other notes on how we sort of decided these ones, man?
Yeah, it's basically, as you said, sort of like the idea is you've got a budget. What is the best faction that we can put together a list for you with that budget? We're basically going to try and give you your best bang for your buck, basically.
Yeah, that's it. So, all right. So I'll start now. I'm only chose about 5 of these. So I didn't. I looked at most factions, but what I'm looking at is factions that are currently, tier 1, tier 2 factions, primarily, that would be good in a competitive sense. So the coming in at probably in the under $100 mark. Now, there's a couple of teams here, and the first one is going to be fairly obvious. This probably one of the smallest kill teams you can get. One of them. There's another one after that's smaller, but this one is Harlequins. And so this has always been one of those. When you're playing 100 points, this has always been one of those one box, one kill team kind of setups. So the Harlequin box is sold in a troop of 6, and that's the only troop type you can get. So they're actually called troops. So that's $65. So $65, you've got 6 Harlequins. You can max out special weapons with that because they are only 12 points each base. But if you max out, like, you give them Harlequin kisses, you give them, like, neuro pistols and stuff, you can max out their cost at 6, and you can have a reasonably competitive kill team. Now, Harlequins are one of these teams which is real hit and miss. So you either win big or you lose hard. They do have a few hard counters. For example, like Grey Knights will just decimate them because Grey Knights get like 2 free kills a turn basically, and when you're a 1 wound Harlequin, it doesn't matter if you get in on them first and go to strike first; they'll cybolt you to death, which really sucks. But what did you think about the Harlequin one there, man? It's a
Yeah,
pretty obvious choice. But at
it's
$65, you've got a kill team. That's hard to beat, isn't it?
it
If you're just looking to start.
it is, but it's also at the cost of your sanity because I did buy one of these box sets. Opened them up and saw how many pieces and how fiddly they were, and basically put it back on the shelf.
Yeah, welcome to Eldari life. The models, same with Drukari, in that they're very delicate little things, and Harlequins are no exception.
Yeah.
Um, I do have some videos on Harlequin list builds and stuff if you're looking at that. And the thing is too, if you wanted to have like a lesser build with weapons, what you could do is just get a second box of Harlequins. And
Hmm.
it's still only $130, right? That's not too bad by any standards. And then you've got more Harlequins than you need. You can have extra options. You can do all these things. And they're one of these factions that you could, if you wanted to, on your roster with your 20 man build, what you can do is you can split it into different factions, like sub factions. So you could have one of all one sub faction and one of all of another,
Yeah.
just so you've got a little bit of variation there when you take it to a competitive situation. So another one I'm going to give an honorary mention, which is under $100, but I wouldn't play it personally. I don't think it's that competitive, but it's worth a mention anyway. And it is the smallest kill team, and that is custodies, right? So custodes were brought in elites, I believe, and look, it's a 2 to 3 model kill team. So you can buy one box, and it's $98. Now, keep in mind that all these prices we're giving you are based on Australian Games Workshop prices. So from independent retailers, you'll be able to get this at better prices. But I'm just going to stick to the Games Workshop prices in Australia just for reference. It's probably the best reference point. So take 10% off this, you can get that. 10 to 15%, you'll get that's what it costs. You'll get it at an independent retailer. But custodies, $98, you get your whole team. That's all you're ever going to have.
Yeah.
Problem with custodies is they don't really stack well when you try and go from 100 points to 125. You can't actually take any extra guys, which really sucks. You're still stuck with 3 dudes. So they don't really work that well in that sort of format. But look, custodies, you don't want to get near them and they'll murder you. But the thing is, you can just run rings around them and win the points game every time. Yeah, I won't say much more on them because I don't really consider them a super competitive kill team. But, they have been used in the past to some success. So I'll give them a 0.5 status on this one. Then they're not really what I'm talking about. Next one to really consider, this is right on the $100 mark. And the prices in Australia have just gone up too, so they used to be slightly cheaper. And that's Grey Knights. You can get a 10-figure Grey Knight squad, like a strike squad, for $100. And that is everything you will ever need as a Grey Knights player. I doubt you're ever going to get a Terminator or something like that because they're just too expensive. Grey Knights, they're one of those teams, a little bit like Harlequins. They're super hit and miss. Like you either totally decimate the enemy very quickly with your Cybolts, like they all come off, they all work, or you just get obliterated and killed in points because you don't have the numbers to cover the field. They're one of these teams you're only going to have 5 to 6 models. But upon saying that, for a new player, they're a very forgiving team because you've got good guns. Like all of the guys have good guns. And you've got 2 free Cybolts a turn. So 2 free Cybolts a turn, you can literally, you get a chance to kill 2 guys every turn for free before every other phase. So that really hurts with the enemy as well. Like if your opponents, it's really hard to play against, especially if you've got, as I was saying before, you've got something like Harlequins with a limited model count. You're rocking in, you're getting, first strikes on stuff and you're getting the initiative and getting charges off. Doesn't mean anything. You just still get Cybolted to death. And, you just get those games where every Cybolt works and you just die every time. You lose 2 models a turn and it's really hard to fight against. So I really recommend this team. What do you reckon, Kysel, on that one?
Yeah, this is one that I've heard a lot about. But the biggest thing I have heard was I took this and I didn't get anywhere. And that was, as you said, like it just comes down to your Cybolt rolls. Like that will really sway the tide of battle if they always land and kill. So
yeah. And look, they have excellent weaponry too, but you don't have the numbers. So that's the hard bit.
Yeah.
That's the bit you've got to overcome. But if you're using like a hold kill format, then you're probably going to be getting the kills because they've got very good weaponry, and the Cybolts will give you extra kills. So you're probably going to be getting kill 1, kill more every turn, which is really powerful. That's a good way to win too. Even if you don't have the numbers, you're fighting a horde team, you're going to be obliterating them as models all the time. So it really comes down to matchups with Grey Knights. It's the same with Harlequins. It comes down to matchups, but they are good, both good base teams. For good quick games of Kill Team, I should say too. Like you'll have a quick game with both those teams. You won't be sitting there for hours. It'll be over within 30 to 40 minutes. Because you don't have the model count and they can all kill real easy. So that was my next choice. So following on from that, we're just right on the $100 mark again with some variables. So, and that's orcs. So with orcs, they got a little bit nerfed, which is fine. I'm still hurting about it, but hopefully they fix it if they make it 2.0 or something. But you can get a box of boys, which is quite cool. You got your 10 boys, and that's got special weapons. And you can get a box of orc knobs as well. And the orc knobs box is 46. So sitting on right $100 there, you've got a fairly competitive kill team. It's not the best kill team. You do get one Gretchen in the knobs box, so you can either use him as a leader, which is very popular, a 3-point leader that you can just hide at the back. Because orcs are very brittle. Don't get attached to them, you'll lose them. But the orc knobs are quite strong, and you can get some good stuff with them. And the orc boys have a lot of good options there as well. And you're going to have you've got at least 2 bosses in that 2-box build, and you've got a lot of troops and choices as well, which is really important. If you wanted to upgrade this team cheaply, you could add in a box of Gretchen as well, which is only 29 points, which gives you an extra orc you could use as a boss or something. And it also gives you a whole bunch of Gretchen you can use for ammo runs and the rest of it. So between $100 to $129, you've got yourself a pretty competitive orc kill team. Now, is this the ideal orc list? there's many ways you can build orc lists. So like I really like flash kits, really good. You could add some burners and looters. They're quite expensive for what they are, but they can be effective. I think they're a little bit expensive, the orc burners and looters at 12 points each. I think they could probably be 10 points because they're still as weak as a normal orc and you lose them just as easy. But they are quite effective in their roles. That's another way to upgrade as well. But just those 2 boxes with the addition of the Gretchen box, if you've got the money, not a bad place to start on that one. Next one I was going to say is the Death Guard. Now, you'll have a lot of experience with this one. You collected it in its heyday when there's all the start collectings.
Yeah.
They have changed now. They were doing Marines and Death Guard. Now they're changed to Marines and Necrons, right? So
Yes.
all the cheap stuff now in the box sets and that is going to be Necrons now. So, but upon saying that, it's still very reasonable. The core of this team is going to be your box of Plague Marines. Now, box of Plague Marines is $84, and you get most weapon options you'd need. So you can make a couple of fighters, you can make a couple of heavy weapons, and you're going to need as many as you can. So I don't think you get, you know more about this than me. You don't get 2 like Plague Spewers. You only get 1 of each, don't you? You get a 1 of each of them. So you're going to have a split of heavy weapons between your Blight Launchers and your Plague Spewers and stuff. And same with Plague Cleavers and that as well. You're going to have 1 of each, but it's not a bad place to start anyway, having 1 each of those. It's not a bad idea. But later on, you'll want to upgrade and get probably another box of that as well.
Yeah.
And then you can complement this with Boxwalkers. So the easy to build ones were $25, weren't they, for 6? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but they've now...
I don't know if you can still find those, though. I think they've turned that into a box of 10 or 12. I can't remember. But based on the easy to build $25 box, you get 6 Poxwalkers. That would be my recommendation there if you can do that still. So it's you're looking at $109. That's another really cheap start to a kill team, which is competitive. It's a good tier 2 team. Death Guard, they're not the best team, but they're not the worst. You've got some good options there and good shooting, good close combat, some chaff that's really cheap. So that's a good way to do it. And then look, you can expand this team by more Poxwalkers, right? And then take a bit more of a horde of Poxwalkers, and then eventually you're probably going to want to double ups of the actual weapons themselves. So yeah, you'll have more notes on this one.
The Plague Marines, the old box set, it looks like they're trying to phase it out. They're probably going to bring in a new range, so that means it's going to be probably more expensive. But if they do that, you'll probably find the old range will drop in price slightly, as retailers other than Games Workshop try and get rid of their older stock. So that's actually a really good box set if you can get your hands on it. The $25 easy to build Poxwalkers, I'd grab 1 or 2 just for the sake of just having a very big screen of Pox. You can never have too much. I would say if you can guarantee some of the Space Marine Hero Season 3s, $20 just to get a Flail of Corruption.
Yeah, true. If you know someone who's got that, we can pick.
Yeah. Everything else in there, maybe the Spewer, but just that Flail of Corruption. And there's also some alternatives with some of the Age of Sigmar range. With the...
It was a hero model. That's right, you're right.
$19.
Yeah, that was $19 and you can get another Plague Cleaver, which is really good weapon, one of the best. So that is another option as well.
Yeah, also with the Plague Marine set, you will have so much additional shoulder pads and all that sort of stuff that you grab that $19 blister and you can just start basically scratch building stuff on there to make it. So
yeah, I think you're going to find, like you were saying, scour eBay, because there was so many of these things were made. You know what I mean? That I'm sure they're going to be cheap if you buy them secondhand. Undoubtedly, they were not worth much because they're all easy to build. So, and they're just everywhere. The market was flooded with them. So, I'm sure they're not going to be too hard to find from here to the future anyway. Especially if you're looking for cheap Poxwalkers or something.
Yeah.
Have a look at a few sites online. You're probably able to pick them up pretty reasonably. The next one I wanted to talk about was Tyranids. Now, Tyranids are a decent force. They used to be. I would have said they were tier 1 in the core set, and that they were a top team, but they're still really competitive. Like they're somewhere between tier 1 and 2. They're really good still very competitive. But you can pick up a box of warriors, which gives you 3 warriors. You've got a lot of weapon options on there. You can even magnetize them if you want. and you can switch the weapons between them. You can have bone swords and stuff, and all the best stuff. And then to complement that, you will get a box of Hormone Gaunts as well. So that'll give you your swarm. So you get a swarm of Hormone Gaunts and 3 warriors, and that used to be a standard build in competitions, right? When you and I started playing, weren't they, Kai? So like everyone was using that 3 warrior build with a swarm of Hormone Gaunts. So and that's really only going to set you back like not that much really. Like $65 for the warriors, 54 for the Hormone Gaunts currently. So just 100 and some bucks. So it's another good kill team to get into, and you still got numbers there. Like that's 13 model kill team right there. You probably fit all of them in there too. So you want to you'd be able to upgrade then and get your heavy weapon and all that sort of stuff as well. So Tyranids is quite a cool team as well, and you got the movement. Like they are very competitive. Especially start running Kraken and stuff with them. Really nasty. The only things you got to really worry about with Tyranids is your big bugs getting taken out early. You know what I mean, by snipers. So anyone with good long range shooting with multiple damage weapons, that's your enemy. So you got to watch yourself with that stuff. But if you can mitigate that, they are a very powerful kill team. Any notes on Tyranids there? You've fought against them a couple of times.
I think you've pretty much summed it up with that one. There are other options, but they've either out of printed them or increased the prices way too much. So
I mean, you could swap the warriors for Raveners or something, but I think warriors is the best bang for your buck for starting for competitive. Like I like all the other ones. Like I use a lot of different Tyranids, and I'm not just resigned to these 2 box sets. I like the Hormone Gaunts as well, the shooty ones as well. I quite like them. So I usually have a mix of both, and I have warriors and Raveners and a few other things. So, but this is just a good way to start. Under 150 bucks, and get a reasonable sort of kill team. I think. Like that's my 5, and I had a 0.5 there. I had the custodies as well. That I sort of thought, like, if you wanted to start the game, here's some good. These box sets will sort you out. Here's 5 teams which are competitive. They're not the highest best thing at the moment, but we don't really know what the best thing at the moment is either. Is another point to make in this video is that they're just re-releasing stuff, and they've got Pariah Nexus coming out. Like we're filming this just as it's sort of coming out, so bear with us. We don't have all that stuff. I know. Another honorary mention here is Necrons and Astartes. Obviously, they're going to be easy to collect soon too, because they're in the box sets. They're in the 3 box sets you can get, and they're going to be bringing out easy to builds and that for that sort of stuff as well. The new heavy intercessors coming out and all that stuff. We don't know the exact figures they're going to use for the Necrons. They did say they were going to use everything in those box sets, so that's going to bring in stuff like Scarab Swarms and some of the bigger beasties. So these are unknowns to us at the moment, so I'm not going to comment on them. So there is a good chance that if you wanted to do Astartes or Necron, that those would fit into these categories of maybe under the $100 mark, or at least under the $150 mark, like these teams I've just mentioned. And you might be interested in that. Like that could be a good way to start too, but we won't comment on those 2 just yet. Yeah. So you got any other honourable mentions, dude, or it's pretty much a nice short and sweet one for us.
That was pretty much it.
That is our picks there for the easiest accessible teams, like for value, and that are still competitive in kill teams. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you do, please consider subscribing to the channel. It takes you a second to do, means heaps to us. We really thank all those people that have supported us already. And yeah, we've been WarHQ, and I'm Lucius. This is Kaisel, and we thank you very much.